Oh, hello.
Looks like we are live. Let's just give it a few more seconds, though. About a minute.
Just get you to not breathe into the mic for about 5 seconds there, Kurt. Beautiful.
Hello, Harshid.
Oh, sheesh. My internet's working.
Wow. That's a nice surprise.
Well, I've got to wait until Friday yet, so fun times.
Well, YouTube is now live.
Very good.
I should probably run a speed test on mine at the moment to make sure that my upload's not going to go out. Should have done that before we started streaming, but that's okay.
I did notice that you just crackled just before we went live, but you seem to be okay at the minute. So hopefully it should hold up. As you can tell, listeners, our internets are still no good, but it's okay. It's the world we live in. I think, Kurt, you've still got the best internet in terms of upload anyway.
Which is funny because mine's not that high.
It's doing better than mine, especially after about 6 p.m.
What? I'm probably sitting around like 3 right now.
Oh, wow. Oh, no, maybe not then.
Okay.
All right. Turning volume down.
Okay, I've got an upload of 27, so we should be okay. And let's close out of the YouTube window. Hello, everybody who's joined us. And just in case you're not sure what we're doing, we just like to give it a little bit of time to make sure people have joined us. It looks like we have 4 watching, although I know one of them was me.
Oh, hello, me.
Hey, we have an audience.
Yes. Okay, well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Blind Tech Guys podcast. This is episode number 71. Today is Sunday in the U.S. The day is January 31st and February 1st. Happy Groundhog Day in Australia and other places in the world. And if you're somewhere else at some other day and time, happy whatever day it is there for you. My name is Nimmer, and I am joining you today from Serbia. I speak perfect English for being someone from Serbia, but I am from Serbia today. Hello, guests or mystery people.
Well, hello. Is it Chinese New Year today, or is that slightly later in the month? I know that's coming up too, isn't it?
I thought that was later, but I don't know.
Hey, Google, for sure. When is Chinese New Year?
Chinese New Year will be on Friday, February 12th, 2021.
Oh, okay. It's not for another couple of weeks.
We'll have to get on the podcast and sing some songs, Chinese songs.
Well, we've got a perfect song.
Yeah,
we've got a perfect song, something about Chinese rap. It's very good. Yes, I think we might have to. Maybe we'll make the entry and exit theme that week. That'll be quite. And Kurt, you're sounding very, very. I don't know how.
I'm
to
sounding
put it, really.
better, huh?
Oh, absolutely!
Actually,
wow,
sound decent.
You've got a boom arm.
Got myself a boom arm and shock mount
and a decent mic.
Yeah,
very good. Welcome as well. And we've got a massive podcast today, Nim, and phones, and more phones. I like the heading of this one. This is going to be a feature-packed phone edition.
That is correct. And I want to first thank the 2 new countries who have joined us. And we have Croatia and Serbia.
Right next to each other.
So those 2 new countries, we want to thank the listeners from those 2 countries for joining us. We are now up to 55, I believe.
55 or 56? 55.
Yeah, I believe 55.
Yeah. Wow.
Very good.
So we want to thank all the new countries that have joined us, all the new listeners. just so you have an idea, since we've started this podcast, since we transitioned to Transistor, before that we were right around 10,000 because we had our giveaway. Since then, we've accumulated about 3,300 downloads, close to that, and it's been about a month and about a week or so.
About 5 weeks, yeah.
A week and a half, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
within that time frame, we've gotten 3,200 plays, or downloads rather. And however, if you want to pay attention to those stats or not is up to you, but we do want to thank
Well.
everybody for listening. And we also want to make sure that you are aware that you can fill out our feedback form at blindtechguys.com. You can send us emails, contact@blindtechguys.com. We don't have the inquiries email address, so please send us that contact email address if you have an inquiry. And
Well, send in. We're quite organised. We deal with all inquiries in the one email. It's very good, eh? contact@blindtechguys.com. Very good.
A lot
Like
easier
that.
than Blind Tech Guys podcast, huh?
yeah, there's no Blind Tech Guys pod. Well, that
yeah.
one's still active, but I don't
Well,
know when
that's
the
still
last time I
active,
checked
but,
it is. I probably should check it sometime.
Yeah, you might have
if you've
something
emailed us
sitting in
on
there.
that one, it's unfortunately not being checked. So
And
I
if
will look
anyone's
at it.
emailed on that one and said, hello, are you still alive?
Yes.
Yes, we're still here. Yes.
Yes.
But maybe contact us at contact@blindtechguys.com. And then
Yep, either
we'll
that or
respond.
use our form.
Yeah.
And we also do have a donate link, so if you appreciate this content or if you'd like to give back to us for paying all this money, there are 3 of us that paid a lot of money for new devices. So if you'd like to
Yeah.
give back to us, please use our donate form, blindtechguys.com. We've had a anonymous donor this month. We want to thank you very much for your
It was, sure. $20 dollars.
$24 donation. And we want to thank Kurt for his recurring donation. Although, I think, Kurt, we need to talk about you increasing that amount. since
Yeah.
you're participating
Fair
on the
enough.
podcast.
Maybe do
yeah.
$100 a month. How's that sound? Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
I put ching ching noise. Ching
On
ching.
Pal
very
Pay.
good. But no, we
seriously,
do
thank you
appreciate
guys.
our the people that do donate, and we've had a few people donate, which is really great. And if you find value, pop in $5 or whatever you find the value to be. That'd be awesome.
$1,
just to cover some
$2,
costs.
$10, anything helps.
Anything.
Anything is,
Yeah.
is
I think we've still
valuable
got
to
the
us.
bronze thing as well because we haven't gone up to silver status yet. Is that right, Nim?
You know what? I do need to update that. Someone, one of you two needs to remind me that I should go on there
Yeah,
and
I
do
forgot
that.
all
But if
about it
you'd like
until we
to do
just
a
started
recurring-
talking about it.
Yeah, if you'd like to do a recurring donation, you can at this point sign up for a $5 recurring donation. We will update that so that there are a few more options, or maybe you can just email us and let us know what you'd like the options to be.
Actually, that's a good idea.
We'll set that up. So, okay. So what's today? We have lots of things on tap for today. Thomas did a demo or a little bit of a conversation of his thoughts on the Galaxy S21 Ultra. We did talk about that device, and we talked about getting that device and playing around with it. And so we'll all share our views on that device after Thomas does a little bit of a review on that device. And then what I'll do is compare that device with the iPhone 12 Pro Max. So if you're kind of on the fence, you need to upgrade your device. These are the 2 most premium devices out there that you could possibly buy. The iPhone 12 Pro Max and the Galaxy S21 Ultra. I will go through those devices and just compare them side by side, tell you what I think of them, what they look like, how they feel in the hand, things that you may not get out of a typical review. And then I will do a demonstration. So Super LiDAR, we've talked a lot about that app. It's actually now live in the App Store. I will do a demonstration of Super LiDAR. And I will do a demonstration of Seeing AI, which also has the ability to use LiDAR, and describe each of those 2 apps. And once we do that, we'll talk about whether or not those apps are worth getting. And we do have a listener email for sure that we need to go through.
Cool. Yay.
We got one.
Yeah, we got one. It came in.
I was
actually
getting worried.
today.
I was getting worried, mate, because, we hadn't... It's 2 shows that we hadn't had listener emails, and I like listener emails.
It
I
came
want
out
my
2 hours
share
ago,
of that
and
$10
no,
million.
it is not spam.
Darn it.
Yeah, no, it's not that one, thank God.
Yes. Although I'm sure that if I checked our spam folder, we probably
Oh,
have a
God.
few of those.
Yeah. We'll definitely have a lot.
So we have a longish podcast on tap. So get your coffee, get your beer, get whatever it is.
Hey, popcorn.
Get your popcorn. Yep.
Yeah,
And kick
that's the
back
one.
and relax and enjoy the movie. And
And no audio description.
no audio description. And you wouldn't want me to audio describe, believe me.
That could be
You wouldn't
interesting.
want that.
Hey, have
be
you got your
fun.
camera on today?
No, I do not have the camera on.
Oh, that's
If
sad.
somebody was watching our podcast and they weren't blind, I think they just might be blinded. So, you know.
So if you click in and you're listening right now and you can see and there's no camera, don't be alarmed. Everything is working fine. This is a blindness podcast. It's okay. It's all good.
Very good.
All right.
Thomas Chan, yep, Chinese New Year's on the 12th. Yes, thank you, Thomas.
Thank you, Thomas. And
I
yes,
should,
Thomas's
hope everyone is well. Yes, we are well. Thank you.
review, which we're going to play very shortly. Now, Thomas, I believe your thoughts may have changed slightly from this review because you were certainly very hyped up and happy about it when you put it out. Feel free to come in and comment, and we'll certainly read your comments out after we've played your review. Do we want to start off with that, Nim, and then put our comments in?
Yes. So
do
at
it.
this point, I'm going to share the screen.
And I'm going to turn my volume down.
This will be an overview of how I felt about the S21 Ultra after 2 days of using it and playing with it. And yet, I'll let you hear how responsive.
We've lost you, Nim.
This will be an overview of how I felt about the S21 Ultra after 2 days of using it and playing with it. And yet, I'll let you hear how responsive is Talkback using this S21 Ultra.
Scanning face. 360 VN. Swipe with two finger. Device unlocked. One eye home. Weather. Tap the weather info.
I mean, it's much more responsive compared to S20 Ultra when I got previously,
Search. Google search.
even though it updated to Android 11. But this is One UI 3.1.
Google Play Store. Galaxy Store.
I'll let
Play
you
Store.
hear.
Play Store. Settings. Settings. List. Samsung
As
Cloud.
I swipe.
Security. Apps.
Right.
Connections.
You
Sound
can
vibration.
hear
Notifications. Display. Brightness.
how
Icon.
responsive
Wallpaper.
as
Themes,
compared to
wallpapers, home screen.
the
Layout.
original
Actions.
Talkback previously.
Lock screen. Privacy. Permission map. Location. Google. Google services. Accounts and backup. Managing account. Advanced features. Android Auto. Digital well-being. Parental controls. Battery and device care. Storage. Map. Apps. Default apps. Apps. General management. Language and keep showing accessibility. Talkback. Software update. Download and install. 31 of 30. Tips and user manual. Useful. About phone. Status. One eye home. Setting. Search. And pager. Left. Weather.
I'll let
Google
you
search.
hear how fast the X60 modem is using on my AC Wi-Fi here.
Galaxy Store. All settings. Phone. Play Store. And pager. Play Store.
I
Play
have
Store. Selected. For you. Heading. Show navigation drawer. Real list app. Chess. Play. Real selected. For you. Heading. Sign as below. Show navigation drawer. Your subscriptions. Black navigation. My apps and games. 3 of 15. Notifications. 1 unit. My apps and games. 3 of 15. Notifications. 1 unit. My apps and games. My apps and games. Play Store. No drop updates pending. 14. No problems found. Play for install. Out list. Library. Library. Recommended. App. Phone. Not installed. App. Not on this device. Heading. App. Family. App. Contacts. Not installed. Install. But. Remove. But. App. Light and Magic. Hero Chaos. Not installed. But app. Phone. Not installed. App. Rebel Sugar. Not installed. App. Light and Magic. Hero Chaos. App. Source. Not installed.
This particular app or particular game that I always try on the internet when I, on the Play Store is this program is 1.8 gig if I remember correctly. I'll let you hear how fast the internet is. This is my Wi-Fi is about 100 Mbps download speed.
Details wrap. Source. Navigator. Search Google Play. More options. In-app purchases. Image map and game icon. Source none. Default games company. Average rating 3 points. Downloaded 100,000 plus time. Content rating rated for install. Button. Cancel. Button. Verify by play correct. Icon to verify by play. 1% of 1.87 gigabytes. You might also like more results for you might also like you might app 3 app condition source none out list 6% of icon to verify by 7% of
As you
1.87
can
gigabytes.
hear,
Source none 9% of 1.87 gigabytes.
it's already up to
Source 12% of 1.87 gigabytes.
12% of 1.8 gig already.
Source none 15% of 1.87 gigabytes. Icon to verify by 17% of 1.87 gigabytes.
It's 1.8 gig.
20% of 1.87 gigabytes.
It's only a few seconds. It's not even a minute. It's already 20
Source
over
25% of 1.87 gigabytes.
25%. This is how responsive this X60 modem on this phone.
Source 32% of 1.87 gigabytes.
It's already 32%.
So 33% of 1.87 gigabytes.
This is how fast the X60 modem is. When I try on the 2-year-old phone, with this amount, probably I only reach
43% of
maybe
1.87 gigabytes.
10% of 1.8 gig with the same wireless network.
Icon to verify by cancel button open cancel download cancel.
My briefly review about
My options
this
primary
Talkback is
app contacts not installed list send
out of
track.
100 times you tap on the phone, double tap or single tap, there's a possibility that maybe 2 or 3 times it didn't capture the tap. I noticed. As I also recorded the voice with the stereo mic on this phone, you can really hear how clear the clear of the mic can pick up the environment of mine.
Screen off.
The only thing I don't like I want to mention is I don't know whether it's the device itself or is it the OS itself being irresponsive when it comes to the double tap and single tap. But overall,
Scanning face 321 DM.
see the Face ID is fast.
Selected. No by emergency calls only. Device unlocked. Play Store. Not out recent.
And
Preview. Selected.
every time I
Preview.
swipe,
Out.
is when they really capture, when I use my swipe, it will really capture it. But
Tap the weather info.
like what I said before, the less than 1% that it didn't capture. I don't know if it's a OS issue or the hardware issue.
This is a voice recording using the S21 Ultra. I am about maybe 30 centimeter away from where I'm speaking now. The phone where it is. So to let you hear how the S21 sound like, we're using its own stereo mic. I'll let you hear if I turn on the tap in my kitchen, how much you can pick it up. Because it's a very quiet environment now. I don't think you can pick up the birds outside. As I walk around, you can hear the environment where I walk to. This is where the S21 Ultra mic is. It's not ready.
It's 3 o'clock p.m.
Okay. Well, there you go. Thank you, Thomas, for the review there, my friend. Very cool to have you send that in, and appreciate you doing that. And
Let's
interesting
look at
thoughts there from Thomas.
Thomas's comments here.
Yeah.
He says it's a very responsive phone in terms of network for sure, but quite a few bug. Like double tap, there are times not accepted, and also the GPS walking mode is one annoying bug. There's another one. He says, I like the phone for sure, but the bug are annoying and quite affecting me. I'm traveling on the road. Yes.
Oh, is he talking about
Yeah.
GPS? Yes, that is very frustrating.
What is
I
that
think.
GPS bug anyhow?
Yes,
Well,
so-
it stops talking if you're walking
Let's,
along. It'll stop talking after a certain a short amount of time if you have it locked.
Yeah, let's give our reviews, I think, and then we'll go through all the bugs.
Okay,
There are a
fair
number of
enough.
bugs that people should be aware of. Now, I also got the S21 Ultra, and that phone ended up going back home to mama. However,
Oh, wow.
here are some things that I observed. And, of course, I compare it to the Note 20 Ultra and to any other Samsung device that I've had. If you have an S10, an S9, an S11, I don't know. Well, there was no S11. Was there S20?
S20.
S20.
There's absolutely no difference in the usability. Now, having said that, somebody's going to say, "Oh, well, you know, this app opens up a little faster." Okay, if you have two phones side by side, and you actually try to notice the differences, yeah, there probably will be a slight difference in that an app will open slightly faster, but there's not really a difference. The modem is definitely a noticeable upgrade, but you have to have internet fast enough to where you'll notice it. So if you're a normal person who has 50 meg internet, 100 meg internet, 200 meg internet even, if you're on a mobile provider that does not have all the latest technologies yet implemented, you will not notice any difference at all. Maybe if you do notice a difference, it might be 5 megabits per second. It's not a dramatic difference.
Well, the only other difference you're going to notice from that, I guess, Nim, would be that it maybe builds up to the top speed a bit faster, but that's about it. You're not going to really notice a huge
You will not
amount.
notice any difference. However, having said that, the modem is very fast. So on Wi-Fi, I can get that baby up to about 930 megs down.
Woo.
And I've never seen a Wi-Fi device go that fast on my network, even a MacBook Pro or even my Chromebook. And those two devices have the fastest Wi-Fi out of any device. I've seen them go, and they'll go up to about 850, 870. I have not seen a device go up to about 930. The fastest I've ever gotten down on a wire is between 930 and 950. So there's not really very much Wi-Fi loss in terms of speed. Now, I have to be relatively near the router for that speed. But the fact that it's getting that speed, I think, is excellent.
But that's impressive. I mean, you've got a lot of give to give, a lot to give there in terms of speed sacrifice, and it's not giving much at all. 10, basically, is what you're saying.
Right.
That's nothing.
So the network is excellent. When I go outside, test it out, 5G and everything like that, the LTE, it's actually the 4G. It's actually, it works well. And it's probably anywhere between 10, 20, maybe even 30 megabits faster than the Note. So just to give a baseline on the Wi-Fi here, the Note 20 Ultra, the fastest I've ever seen is probably about 870. And usually it's more like 810, 820, 830. On the 4G, it's not that much faster. It is a little faster, but it's not dramatic. It's like maybe 10 megabits, 15 megabits. It's not hugely faster. So just to give you an idea, the modem is the best part of the phone. I noticed an issue with the audio immediately because the top speaker does not have the dampening foam balls.
Yes.
And I actually saw this in a review, and I didn't know if I would notice it, but I did notice it. When you have the Note 20 Ultra and you have the Galaxy S21 Ultra side by side, the Note 20 Ultra has a fuller sound coming out of the top speaker. It is a more full, a little bit more bass, more full
Touch
sound.
more bass, yeah.
I'm not, there's a limited amount of what you can achieve using phone speakers. So I won't say the Note 20 Ultra's got excellent sound, but it does. It is a little bit more full compared to the S21 Ultra. Now, the S21 Ultra is loud. It gets loud, but I wouldn't call the audio good. Just because this phone gets loud, I wouldn't say that audio is good. So I think that issue with the foam balls is a little bit of an issue with that top speaker. The bottom speaker's fine, but the top speaker's definitely affected. Microphone quality to me just sounds like a lot of bass, and Samsung tends to have a lot of bass in their mics. I don't know. I don't particularly like the sound. I like the sound of a flat mic. Don't like mics that add a lot of bass, particularly to a voice that already has a lot of bass, because it just
interrupting you there, Nim. Your audio's starting to chop in and out.
Yeah, you're stuttering.
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
Maybe, I don't know if you can get the hotspot maybe ready, but yeah, you're definitely cutting in and out, and I can hear it now, definitely, even without you talking.
Oh, lovely. That's great.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, let's see here.
So I shouldn't be that jealous that I don't have one of these, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, it depends on what you want out of a phone.
Yeah.
I'll give my once we have Nimmer come back and excuse the pause here, listeners listening live. But once Nimmer's done his review, I'll let you know my thoughts, which sort of go down similar line. But yeah, there's definitely a little bit of disappointment, I guess, with it. So just to let listeners know what's going on here at the moment, Nimmer's just trying to get his hotspot happening so that we can at least get some reasonable audio from his end. Fortunately, Nimmer and I have got some rather unfortunate internet issues going on, so I've got my hotspot ready to go just in case it happens to me. But if they don't sort out my internet soon, I might be going to... I might be going 1,000 down myself, which will be cool. I'm changing providers, which would be very nice.
Do you have many providers you can choose from down there?
We have a lot, but none that offer that sort of speed for a reasonable price. So we'll see how that sort of works out.
So you'll pay an unreasonable one, or?
Well, a lot of the time, if you're looking for that sort of speed here, you're going to be paying a few $100s a month, which is craziness.
Woo!
Yeah, we're talking decent dollar. So these guys are offering it for, I think it's 130 a month Australian, which is about 100 US, which is a heck of a lot more reasonable.
That's not that much more than it is here, honestly.
Yeah, so that I can accept, but a few $100s a month is slightly crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Are you guys able to hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
Yes, much better.
Much better.
Yeah, okay. It looks like my speed's dropped down to 0.0 or 0.17 megs.
That's probably why. Very good.
Okay. So just to continue off, the S21 Ultra is it feels nice in the hand. It's, my impression of it, it feels nice. It's got that matte back, similar to what the Note does. The camera is blended into the side, to the right side of the device, and I think just kind of has a little bit more refined look. But the lenses got like individual, instead of having all glass covering up all the lenses, they're individual lenses with aluminum around the lenses. And I don't like that because the aluminum will scratch easier than if they just had all glass. I really don't like that design. I wish that they had just kept it as one glass covered a bunch of sensors. But you can actually feel the different lenses, and they're surrounded by aluminum. And it actually feels like they have a fifth glass sensor in there somewhere that isn't actually a camera, so I have no idea what they're doing there. Because the thing only has 4 cameras.
Yeah, it does have 5, doesn't it? That's right, yeah. I'm just feeling mine now.
Is that supposed to be the laser autofocus, or is that
The
integrated?
laser
in G?
autofocus has a little hole. There's a little
That's
hole
just a little
where
hole.
the camera is.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure what the glass is.
So I'm not sure what that's for.
I think maybe just for looks. I have no
Maybe.
idea.
It's so they can always watch us.
In any case, just finishing up with the audio, I remember I was talking about the audio. The mic quality is fine. It's not bad. I think it adds too much bass, and I don't like it when mics add too much bass, especially with a voice that already has bass. I really don't like that. Kind of makes voices sound a bit more muddy, but it's fine. It's not a bad mic. It's really terrible in Telegram and WhatsApp, but that's usual for Android devices. I don't know why that is, but it's unfortunate, and it makes any kind of interaction with anyone that's not using something like Duo a pain, because audio quality is terrible on any Android device, and there's no difference between that and the S21. So I think that's about it. The fingerprint sensor, they did talk about, they made it a little bit faster and a little bit bigger. It is a little faster, but it's not something that makes my day completely different.
It's not the end of the world.
Revolutionary.
Yeah.
It is. When I compare it to the Note 20 Ultra, it is a little faster, but it doesn't save me any time. I mean, it's just maybe half a second difference or something. It's not even that. It's maybe a quarter of a
it's
second
maybe
difference.
a quarter. Yeah, I was going to say it's not much.
It's not much at all. So
It's definitely something that you wouldn't really notice. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and go, "Oh, wow, that was fast," because it's not that noticeable. So
no.
yeah,
And I still do get the occasional time where it doesn't recognize my print, and this is where I think that they really need to use the physical sensors. Those were a lot more reliable.
yeah.
I'm not impressed with the in-display ones, and I know Marco had a lot of difficulty setting his up. I think he's probably gotten a bit better now with his, but he's definitely had a lot of difficulty when he went to set his up.
And there were issues that cropped up, that were really, well, neither of us could really explain it. It was odd. Some odd stuff happened, but it's a bit annoying.
So the setup process itself is kind of it's a pain. There's a little bit of just some issues going on with the setup process where things either don't get copied or things. I don't know. They're
they are copied, but they just don't appear. They're there. If you look at them, that you can actually see, like, the files are actually there, like everything's there, but it just doesn't appear until you actually. And this is strange. I had to uninstall a couple of apps, and then once I reinstalled them again, they appeared. So it was really odd. Not sure why that happened.
There's also a thing where if you try to install it, the Talkback that it comes with Samsung devices has the password option unchecked. And if you don't remember this was back in Android ice cream sandwich or something. And it's, I think, frankly, the worst setting that Google ever added to a device. And I wish they'd remove it completely because I don't know anyone that uses it. Essentially what it is it's intended to be a privacy setting, whereas if you try to type a password in when you don't have headphones plugged in, it will not read out the characters that you type. Now, on recent Android devices, it's that option has been checked so that you could actually type in your characters, even if you didn't have headphones. For whatever reason, on Samsung devices, that option is unchecked. And the really terrible part is you don't get a headphone jack, you don't get an adapter in the box, you can't set up Bluetooth that early on in the setup process. So you have no way of setting up an Android device unless you happen to have a pair of USB-C headphones or an old adapter. It's an awful, awful thing. So what you have to do, there's a workaround, but you shouldn't need to do this. And if you don't know about it, you'll never get past the setup. What you have to do is you have to go into the Talkback settings, so you can do an angle gesture or use the multi-finger gesture. Either way, go into the Talkback menu, and then go to Talkback settings, and then check that option that says allow password. Whatever read of passwords or whatever the
you've got to change it to yes.
So check that box, and you need to do this before you start setting up your device, because if you start setting it up, you get to a password prompt, then your keyboard will not read out the characters. So now, having said all that, I returned mine, and there were a few issues that came up, and I went through some of them, but the one that really got me to return it is the one that has to do with GPS that was briefly mentioned, and that is if you use a GPS app and you lock your phone and you put it in your pocket, about 3 or 4 minutes after you start walking, you no longer get updates. So you cannot use an S21 or whatever. You can't use that device when you want to use GPS if you plan to have your device in your pocket. It's not an issue if you have your phone unlocked. It's not really an issue, I hear, when you're driving, although I haven't tried it.
No, it's not.
But it's
for some reason with walking it is.
Definitely an issue in walking, and I do a lot of walking. I don't drive. So I run into this issue, and it was the one thing I think there are issues. Thomas mentioned some things around, maybe sometimes double taps aren't recognized as much, or some, this or that. Some of those are minor. Some of those, there are ways to get around. But this one issue, there's not a way to get around. And unfortunately, not an issue I'm going to deal with. Braille keyboard is also still missing. So if anybody's relying on Braille keyboard, you will not get that in this version of Talkback. So hopefully it does get addressed. But if you have Talkback from Samsung, you try to use Braille keyboard, there is no Braille keyboard. I've heard from some users that say they have Braille keyboard. If you are one of those users that says you have Braille keyboard, I would challenge you to try to turn it on, because it doesn't actually work. What's happened is that you still have the old version of Talkback from Google installed. If you go into the Play Store and uninstall it, all of a sudden your Braille keyboard will disappear. So if you still think that you have Braille keyboard on a Samsung S21 or S20 or whatever, and you're using Samsung's version of Talkback, I challenge you to turn it on and see what kind of message you get. Because the message that you'll get shows you that you can't actually turn it on. And I've heard from a couple of individuals that say, oh, no, I have Braille keyboard. Those individuals haven't actually tried to turn it on. So...
Well, Nim, I'll give a quick summation of my thoughts, very much down the same line as yours. I certainly had a lot of hassles with the setup. That was not a pleasant experience at all. In terms of setting this thing up and setting up a iPhone, it's just night and day. That was really painful. And thankfully, you told me about that password issue, which I would have worked out eventually, obviously, but that just needs to be looked at. That's terrible that, that's set the way it's set, because most people wouldn't think of that, especially if you're relatively new. And like you said, if you don't have any USB-C headphones, you're going to be struggling with that baby for a while. Yeah. And that thing might be going back to mama pretty quickly. But yeah, I had some very interesting setup issues. I had some interesting copying issues, and that was using Smart Switch with a cable. It all copied across, but some of it didn't appear. My messages didn't appear for some reason. So I had to, well, actually, you can't even uninstall Google Messages. You have to, I can't remember the exact term for it, but you have to reload it or whatever they...
Disable it
and then start again. Yeah. Which basically means then your settings go and then you just, yeah. But anyway, that then made it appear. So that was good. I had another app where another phone app that I used that didn't have all my history. And then I uninstalled that and that came back. So yeah, there was some very weird and wonderful things that happened. In terms of sound, I think the sound that comes out from if you plug a set of decent, and I'm talking decent set of headphones into the USB-C is very good. Pretty much the same as always. Samsung always does pretty well there with their DACs. The microphone I actually think is okay. No real change there. Maybe a little bit more bass. It's probably better. Now I can't compare it to the S20. It's certainly better than the S10, but I don't actually really think they've done a huge amount of work on it, honestly. I've always not really liked... their microphones are okay in a Samsung, but they're just okay. They're not great, but they're pretty reasonable. Still think the nicer ones are from the LGs, but they're not going to be around for much longer, so... anything else? Let me think. The fingerprint sensor, I'm not a fan... at the very beginning, I was not a fan of that thing at all. Now, they've moved that fingerprint sensor up a little bit, so it took me a little while to get used to it. I'm starting to like it now, I guess. But I agree with, I think, both of you guys. They really need to think about how they... Yeah. I just don't like... I'm not a big fan of the way that they do the fingerprint in the Samsungs. And it's not always accurate. Sometimes you'll literally put your finger in the same place and it doesn't recognize it. And it's just annoying. Yeah, the GPS thing's a big pain. The Braille thing's a pain, although that's supposed to be hopefully sorted in a little while. I would imagine the GPS issue is going to be sorted pretty quickly. I was reading some forums of a lot of many people complaining about that. So, and not just from blindies, this is everyone. So I think that'll be sorted pretty quickly. So if they sort those two things out, I'll be very happy. I will not be returning mine. I will keep mine for now. But I also do have the luxury of having a 12 Pro Max as well lying around. So that kind of helps. But I think, in all honesty, if you're and I know that there's a lot of listeners out there that are iPhone users thinking about coming across to the other side. And I'm not just saying this, I'm being completely frank with you. I honestly would very, very seriously think about it. It's an expensive exercise, potentially. And I always say that the grass is not always green on the other side, and you really do need to put in a lot of effort and a lot of new learning as to how to use it. And you're probably going to encounter some frustration along the way. And I think you'd probably agree with that, Kurt. Can be a frustrating experience.
There are some things that don't work as well either. Like, I find myself using my computer more than I did when I had my iPhone.
Yeah.
You know?
But overall, I think it's a reasonably good device. But there's not a huge amount of improvement. I mean, for the amount of buck that you're paying, I don't know. It's something you'd have to think about. If you really want a new phone, then go for it. If you're an iPhone user and you're sort of thinking about switching, but you're thinking about buying the new Pro Max, in my opinion, I'd go for that. And I don't know what you think, Nimba, but I know you've got the new iPhone now, so I guess you can sort of key us into what you think of that as a comparison.
Yeah, so let's move on to the comparison between the two devices. The iPhone 12 Pro Max or any of the iPhone 12 series now has flat sides.
Yeah.
You may or may not like flat sides. Some people really like them. Some
I
do
don't.
not. I like the feel of the rounded sides, but I like the balance of the flat sides. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I think the flat sides are easier to balance in my hand. It kind of makes the phone a little bit less top heavy and kind of just helps me balance it kind of on the bottom on my finger or something if I'm walking around. So the balance is good, but it kind of digs into your hand a bit more, and I don't know that I really like I think I prefer the rounded sides, but there's pros and cons to either one. The S21 Ultra is narrower than the Pro Max, but is taller than the Pro Max by a good amount. The S21 Ultra is a little bit heavier than the Pro Max. Not much. Maybe not even enough that you'll notice.
See, for me, I'd notice
slightly heavier.
Yeah, that's one thing I forgot to mention. Sorry, Nim. I definitely noticed that it's heavier. Definitely, for me.
And I think if you look at their numbers or something, it's something by like 5 grams, or it's not a huge amount, but it is a little bit heavier.
It just feels more top-heavy, though, for me, the S21. Like you were saying with the iPhone, it doesn't feel as top-heavy the way you hold it. I don't know, it just feels different. It's just
and that's because of the rounded sides versus the flat sides.
Yeah.
So the flat sides give it a little bit more balance. The battery life on the 12 Pro Max is definitely better, particularly if you're not using your device. If you start using your device, I still think the 12 Pro Max is a bit better. But you have to also remember that the S21 Ultra has a little bit bigger screen, certainly brighter, and certainly higher refresh rate. You can turn all that stuff down, but the defaults are that the S21 Ultra is definitely going to use up a bit more juice, but it does have a lot bigger battery too. So the speakers on the Max are not as loud, but I think they give a bit better sound.
Well, that's interesting.
A bit better sound, a bit clearer sound, a bit better audio.
How much
more
is a
bass.
bit?
See, I
To me,
actually
it's a bit.
completely
I know
disagree
audio
with
is
that.
Yeah, I know it's subjective, but to me, it's
Yeah, I
definitely
don't
better
think it's
audio. Certainly clearer, certainly better. And I think it has to do with those foam balls. Because I would say if I held the Note 20 Ultra and compared that to the iPhone, I would take the Note 20 Ultra. But when I compare it to the S21, I'd rather have a more full sound. Now, the audio itself, I wouldn't say is great, but I don't think it's great on any phone.
No.
I don't think it's great. Now, if we're talking about Bluetooth or anything like that, now that story changes. And I would have to say that Samsung has definitely got a better codec for sure.
Yeah.
But that's generally been the case. And you will even notice, even if you're just using the aftershocks, the sound that comes out of the iPhone is 2 billion times worse
Absolutely.
than that comes out of any Android phone.
Well, they're still using
with Bluetooth.
AAC, so of course it's going to be worse. That's a given, unfortunately. So.
Yeah. Vroom Vroom. Hello, Vroom Vroom. He asks the question of, did I disable battery optimization? So actually, I do that on every phone. I disable any kind of battery optimization. I turn off adaptive battery, turn off all that stuff. And yes, to answer the question is yes, I did disable that. And I also enabled always on location for that app. So, and that happens with multiple apps. So, okay. So, in terms of like the cameras, the lenses also exist. You got lenses that also exist on the iPhone, but the lenses are round with the glass that's sort of going to be touching the desk. Less likely to scratch for sure, versus that aluminum on the S21 Ultra. And of course, the camera doesn't really blend in, so it's kind of the way I would describe it on the iPhone is sort of a Lego, similar to that on the Note, except it doesn't protrude as much. But then the lenses themselves protrude a good amount. They're kind of they're round circles, and they protrude out of the little Lego brick type thing that's on the back of the camera, on the back of the phone.
Gotta say, I'm not a big fan of it, unfortunately. Not for me, anyway. I don't like the way it looks. I think it's better in terms of it not scratching and stuff. I definitely agree there. But I don't know. Just don't like the way it feels. Don't like the way it looks for me.
Yeah, it's not really symmetrical, and so I would prefer to have a different kind of a look. But on the other hand, I would also prefer for it to be durable and not scratch. And this is more likely to not do that than the S series. Now, the older ones, like the Note, for example, had a big square of glass, all glass. It wasn't as likely to scratch, but if you did drop your phone and it landed, the first thing to hit would be the camera, which would probably shatter. Yeah. So, I don't know. There's not really a good option. But this one does have stainless steel sides, which the S21 Ultra is using aluminum. So if I did have to throw my phone around, I would much, much rather throw the iPhone around.
Absolutely.
And it has that ceramic front glass, which has been tested and proves to be pretty durable. So that's kind of the comparison. If you'd like to know anything else, in terms of mic, it has this weird thing where when you start talking, it fades into the audio. So you start out and it starts really soft. And it gets loud.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's a very strange thing that happens, and you notice it more so in apps like Telegram and WhatsApp.
Well, apparently somebody was telling me that they've also got this bug in FaceTime and sometimes in Zoom when you actually start a call, and for some reason, and it's not just a gradual start, it actually stays quiet for about 10 seconds or 20 seconds and then fades up. So it's really strange.
That is
Pretty sure
interesting.
it's a
I
bug.
haven't noticed that bug. I have done a couple of FaceTime calls. I have not noticed that bug.
Okay.
But well, it's kind of interesting that happens.
Pretty sure they'll
the
sort
mic
that
quality
out, though.
itself, I would say, is not as good. On the other hand, because iOS uses way better codecs in a lot of the apps that people tend to use, the audio sounds 10 times better.
Absolutely.
So you pick your poison. Do you want a microphone that doesn't necessarily sound as good if you're doing full-on recording, but can give you Dolby audio when you do record and has better codecs in most apps? Or do you want to take the better microphones but have the really terrible codecs, but you potentially have the ability to record better audio? That's kind of your poison to pick. I don't think either one is ideal. I'd rather have the good microphones and the good sounding audio. Since I do a lot of chatting on Telegram, WhatsApp, all that, I'd rather have the good sounding mics for that, even though the mics themselves aren't great. So I would prefer iOS approach at this point. But if we had better codecs, and I'd probably change my mind. So I don't know.
Pick your poison.
ideal.
I like the way you put that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting that you think that the sound coming from the 12 Max Pro is good. I actually don't agree with that.
Oh, I don't think it's good.
I think it's worse, funnily enough. I put them side by side. I always like to do this experiment with a sighted person. So I put them side by side and played them to a couple of different people, and everyone wanted the S21 Ultra. For whatever reason, they just like the sound of it better. Now, for me personally, I don't think there's a huge amount of difference, but to me, it's a little bit thinner. It's definitely not as loud either. So if you like it loud, it's not quite as loud, but it's not a huge amount of difference, I don't think.
The iPhone is not as loud. The
Yeah.
Ultra is definitely louder, but I think the iPhone, in terms of like the quality of the sound that it outputs, as loud as it is better until you get to the max volume.
To
when
the
you
max,
get to max
yeah.
volume, it's terrible. So the iPhone, and I would say it's true with most things, but with the iPhone, you don't want to go to the max volume.
No.
Take it to max volume and then down maybe 1 or 2 steps.
I actually
that'll
reckon one of the
probably
best
give you-
iPhones that came out with sound was the XS Max. That was quite nice, actually. The XS Max just had really nice
It was
sound,
a little bit
but-
louder, but I did notice that one has a tendency to distort more. So I
Yeah.
tend to think they probably are using similar speakers, but just turned them down.
I think they
underpowered
turned the
them,
bass down a bit too, actually.
and
which
that
is
way
good.
they don't
Yeah.
distort as much, because the XS Max did tend to distort a bit more.
But see, speakers are really fun. Like if you're expecting, and I always say this to people, speakers out of a mobile, I hardly ever use them, so I don't know. I guess it's important to quite a few people, but you know, you're never going to get great sound because they're tiny. So
Yeah.
you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I think it's a pretty damn good phone. As I said, I'm lucky that I can play with both of them, so it's worked out pretty
you
well.
are lucky.
But I think they're both good in certain ways and not so good in others. But I definitely do like the iPhone. I think it's a very nice device.
Now,
for what
the
you're paying.
S21 Ultra, as to be expected, definitely has the better modem, but it's just because it's a newer modem
Yeah,
and it's integrated into the chip. So it's definitely going to be better. But again, it's a baby step better. It's not as if like, oh, if you have the
It's not
iPhone, you have a
massive.
bad modem. You don't have a bad modem if you have the 12 series.
Oh, the modems in those are quite decent. They're
You
not
have a
bad.
little better if you have the S21, but a lot of the times you run a speed test side by side, and it just depends on which one starts first as to which one wins. Like
Yeah.
it's not a bad modem.
The biggest thing you're going to notice if you've got some vision, and this is chatting to a couple of people over the weekend, is you're definitely going to notice that the display is brighter and probably clearer on an S21 Ultra. So if you've got, well, again, it depends on what sort of vision loss you've got. You probably want to play around with both of them and see which one you like better. But apparently the Ultra is definitely clearer. But again, that might not help you, depending on your vision loss. But that's
Depends on
also
your
because it's
display
got a higher
settings and all that
Yeah.
too.
yeah. It's also because it's got a high refresh rate, so it's important. And the other thing for me, I find that the battery's quite reasonable, but I definitely agree the iPhone battery's better. Definitely does last longer, but for me, the S21 Ultra easily lasts a day, no problem. So, but the battery definitely lasts longer on the iPhone, no doubt about it. So.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and do a comparison of Seeing AI
Yes.
Very nice.
and Super LiDAR. The point of both of these apps, in case you haven't heard, please go back to previous podcasts, but to get a more in-depth idea of what these are. LiDAR is there sort of to use the camera to be able to judge depth and distance. And this is what cameras are really bad at usually, so the LiDAR sensor actually can do that. And Seeing AI and SuperSense are two of the first apps that have taken advantage of that for blind people, that will allow you to be able to judge the distance of objects in your space and possibly to identify any obstacles in your pathway. So I'll talk a little bit about each one, and let's start out with Seeing AI. And then once we talk about the apps, then I will switch to my device, and I'll actually try to demo those apps, and we'll see how that goes. Let's see here.
Find notifications. YouTube, 53 minutes ago. Notification. Facebook, 53 minutes ago. Notification. Twitter, group. Messages. Settings.
Open Seeing AI.
Maybe just slow it down as well, man.
There we go. Yep, I will do that.
Speaking rate. 90%, 60%, 50%.
Okay, hopefully you guys can hear that. All right.
App switcher. Seeing AI. App. Seeing AI. Seeing AI. Menu. Button. Channel. Short text. Adjustable.
I'm going to switch to the world channel.
Dot prop currency. Scene. World. Preview.
And it says it's in preview because it is. Now, in this channel, there are some buttons. So let's start out at the top.
9. Place beacon. But space quick help. Proximity sensor. But menu. But proximity 45% quick help. Button. Spatial summary. Button. Place beacon. Button. Channel. World. Preview. Place beacon. Button.
Okay, so I've gone through the different options in this app. So spatial summary kind of tells you what's around you. And
Laptop.
so I'm pointing it at my laptop, and it says laptop at the moment. I just point it around, and it says what's in the room. And as I point it at objects, it'll tell me what those are.
Screen.
If I want to do a beacon, what the beacon is, it places a sort of a virtual beacon at that object. And that way then, when I'm walking closer to that object, it'll tell me how far away that item is. Spatial summary will give me an idea of all the items in the room that I've scanned. So far I've scanned 2 items, just pointing it in my location, laptop, and screen, apparently. And so I could place a beacon on any one of those. So this is sort of what the Seeing AI does. And if I wanted to go to a beacon, once I placed a beacon, I could go to the spatial summary and then pick one of the objects that I wanted to go to. So let's go to
Spatial summary. Place beacon. Button. Seeing AI. Place beacon. Heading. Done. Detected objects. Laptop. 5 feet. Picker item. Adjustable.
So I
1
can
of 2.
pick one of the 2 items that I have.
Screen. 4 feet. Start. Button.
And now I'm going to start.
Start. Menu. Button.
And it's sort of making a noise. And that noise is sort of in stereo. Kind of gives me an idea on what direction I need to go to get to the screen.
It was like
And the
thinking you were
closer-
playing the accordion.
Yes.
Wow.
Menu. Button. Menu. Proximity sense. Quick help. Spatial summary. 4.4 feet.
And it tells me as I get closer how far or how short it is.
Stage 3.9
So does that sound change if you go further away?
No. But it does, it sort of is a stereo sound. So it does change the
4.7
distance.
feet.
So,
Remove beacon.
Okay. So it's
Channel.
best to have headphones
Remove
on,
beacon.
obviously.
Button.
Yes.
Place beacon.
Yeah.
then we have the proximity sensor, and that
Quick help. Proximity sensor. Selected.
will detect when you're
Proximity
close to
sensor.
objects, and it will vibrate. So right now, the phone is vibrating. I don't know if you can hear that at all.
No,
But it
unfortunately
is-
not.
It is vibrating. So if I point it and it's not pointed at any object, it will not vibrate.
So this isn't the 2 objects you've saved. This is just whatever it's finding. Yeah?
Anything. Yep.
Okay.
So the closer that you get to an object, the more it will vibrate. So that is Seeing AI. And I'll open up the other app and detected a chair. and
Now,
a
just
window.
quickly before you open up the other app, so can that be done using the Android app as well, or is that just on the iPhone app?
There is
is that
no
part of-
Seeing AI on.
Oh, there's
Android.
not a. Oh, okay, righto.
Yep, Seeing AI is Microsoft's app only for iPhone.
And of course, that's not going to happen for a while.
But so far it hasn't. I doubt it will. So we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Window.
Okay, let's open up Super LiDAR.
Super.
Open Super LiDAR.
Super LiDAR. Open menu. Button.
All right, so we've got Super LiDAR here.
Stop detecting. Button.
So we have a stop detecting button
Stop detect.
and a menu button.
Open menu.
And that's it.
Button.
It's a very simple app. In the menu, there's not much.
Detection type. Heading. Detect people.
You can choose whether it detects people,
Detect environment.
detect environment,
Detect all.
detect
Selected.
all. And that's the one that I have selected.
Super LiDAR. Heading. Help. Button. Request a call.
There's a
Button.
help, request a call,
Rate Super LiDAR.
rate Super LiDAR.
About. About.
About.
Button.
And that's it. So,
Rate Super LiDAR.
and then
Menu. Heading. Detection. Back button.
let's go back. Okay.
It's very straightforward, isn't it?
Open menu.
Yep.
Button.
So when you have it set to this, when you open the app, if you're really close to objects, it won't do anything. If you're just pointing it around, it will beep. If it detects something is getting closer, the beep will, the higher the beep, the farther out something is. The closer you get, the lower the beep is. Until you get really close to an object, it'll start vibrating, and you won't really get a sound or anything once you get too close. So that is how this app works. And very, very simple app. So we'll demonstrate them. I'm going to transition to my other device, and then maybe I'll go outside and just walk around a bit. So,
Well, why don't you just, no, I suppose you can't because you've got to read the email. I was going to suggest finish the show on the other whilst you're walking along, but might be a bit hard. Yeah.
Yep, I got to look at the email. Well, Marco can read the email, so.
Oh, I've got, is it just that singular email we got today?
Yep.
Okay, well, I can read that. That's
I
easy.
think you've got that
All right.
email.
I have indeed. Yep, from Bev.
Yep.
Lovely. All right, well, let's
All
do
right.
that. And I'll, if you want to hop on your device, we'll
I'm going to hop on my device, and I'm going to go for
get
a
it
walk.
done. Yeah.
Yes.
Take Lola for a walk.
Yes.
Although that might be a bit hard.
Yeah, no Lola for a walk.
No Lola.
Nope. All right, I'm going to mute my computer, and then I'm going to switch over to the new device.
All right, so Kurt, I think Nimra's just hopping on his device.
Very
so
nice.
We'll just wait until he comes on. So yeah, it looks like a pretty straightforward app. But you don't have an iPhone anymore, do you?
I have an old iPhone, nothing with
Oh,
LiDAR.
okay. Well, you can't use LiDAR, so that's okay. But I will give that a go at some point.
I'm
just to play
I'm
around with it.
honestly a lot more jealous of that than the S21 Ultra.
Yeah, I'm slightly more envious of that myself, I have to say. You haven't really missed out. If you, like you said earlier, if you're not, if you haven't got one, I don't know if I'd be rushing out at this point. But all right, so we'll just add Nimra into the group.
I can hear your Australian eloquence.
I'm trying to add Nimra. All right, Nimra, I think we've got you.
All right.
Just wait. There we go. You're there. Beautiful.
So let's go for a walk here. Okay.
Are you on your open comms there, Nimmer?
Nope.
I just checked your suppression of echo, and it's definitely turned off. But you're sounding very, I don't know, sort of Bluetoothy.
I shouldn't be. I'm just on the regular device.
Okay, no, that sounded a little better then. Maybe it's because you were quiet or something.
Interesting.
Walking through a tunnel.
Yeah, I shouldn't be. I'm just on the regular device here.
Yeah.
You're echoing pretty good.
I'm echoing.
You're echoing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. Why am I echoing?
I don't know.
Sounds like
Well,
you're
turn
on
on my-
Canyon.
Turn
We'll
on
see
my
how
echo
you-
cancellation.
We'll see how you go once you get out and about with it.
I mean, I'm out. Turn on the echo cancellation, I suppose.
All right, we'll try that.
So you're just talking on your iPhone there?
No, I'm talking on a Pixel.
All right. All right, try now.
Well, hello there.
Pretty much sounds exactly the same to me.
Yeah.
Hasn't made much difference. That's all right. Anyway, let's try the demo out and see how you go.
There is no difference between the echo cancellation.
Talk again. I've just turned it off.
Hello, test.
Maybe slightly clearer with it off, but there's not much background noise, so I'm hoping it'll pick up your iPhone.
No, let's hope so.
2006.
Oh, yeah,
there
we
it
can
goes.
hear that. Yeah, we can hear that. Yeah, that's fine.
Fremont. 56 degrees to talk. Messages. App switcher. Super LiDAR. Active. Super LiDAR. Open menu. Button.
Okay, so I've got Super LiDAR turned on. And let's make sure we've got volume. And pointing it around. Not seeming to do anything. Okay, let's kill the app.
App switcher. Seeing AI. Super light. Close super LiDAR. App switcher. Seeing AI. Current action. Close seeing AI. WhatsApp. Current action.
Okay.
Close WhatsApp.
Open Super LiDAR.
Super LiDAR. Open menu.
Woo.
All right, so I'm pointing it at my gate at the moment, and I'm walking
Hey.
closer.
That sounds like some sort of Arabian flute.
Sounds like you're playing a very interesting video game.
And as I get farther away, the beeping will increase.
Oh, so the pitch goes up as you get further, yeah?
That's right.
Ah, okay.
And I'm just walking around. And now I'm pointing it at some trees.
Okay, interesting.
So typically, if it detects objects that it will recognize, it will tell you what those objects are. But at the moment, it's not really doing that.
A person with.
So I'm pointing it at myself, and it's telling me I don't have a mask on, which is true.
A person.
So is it fairly accurate with, like, have you used it a bit and does it detect people accurately
Yes.
and stuff like that?
Yes.
Okay.
And right now I'm pointing it at the ground. Obviously, it thinks it's closer to the ground, so the pitch is low.
A person. A person.
And there is a person.
A person.
Interesting. Is that
So this
is that designed to also be used with headphones? Like, in the sense, does it detect stuff from the right and the left, or is it not?
No, it does not. It would be nice if it did, but it does not. At least for me, if that feature works, it does not. Does not actually
Okay.
work.
Interesting.
So I'm not sure what's going on. I'm walking up to a car. I'm right on top of the car, and it hasn't really detected it. Oh, there it goes. And now it's vibrating. So what it does is, if you're 4 feet away, it does vibrate.
Ah, okay. So that's quite handy, especially if you're in a loud environment.
And the closer you get, the stronger the vibrations get.
Window 8 feet.
So there we go. It detected a window at 8 feet, which is probably the car window. I am walking around, and it is nighttime, so this could be affecting it a bit
Well,
as well.
yeah, possible.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to ask, Nim. I wonder if do you know whether it uses flash or anything else to light things up, or?
I'm not sure if it's using flash, but I do know that LiDAR doesn't actually need flash.
So it should work reasonably okay at night. As
The
okay
distance
as it can.
detection doesn't need flash.
No.
The
Still might
object
need
detection
flash.
needs the object detection needs the flash. So
Yeah.
for it to tell you what an object is reliably.
So during
So
the
let's-
day, if you're using that during the day, does it detect tree and stuff? Like, if you point it at the trees, it'll tell you that fairly accurately, or?
I haven't actually heard it say tree, but it just did say table.
Oh, okay.
And what table it's talking about, I couldn't tell you.
I'm waiting for kangaroo.
So let's open Seeing AI and see if that one is any different. And then I'll talk a little bit about comparing the two.
App switcher. Super LiDAR. Close super light. App switcher.
So I guess for anyone that's
Open
heard us
Seeing
talking
AI.
about the voice and stuff, because of course that works with in stereo, the need to have headphones and stuff probably isn't quite as, unless you're in a loud environment, probably not quite as necessary from the sounds of it.
Yeah, and I'll talk a little bit about the voice after this and comparing those two. So the Seeing AI also detects a table. Not sure where it's getting table.
Maybe someone's thrown one out on the curb.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe not.
So it doesn't actually make any kind of sound as you're walking around. It doesn't actually help you follow your path or anything like that. Let's point it at me, see if it detects anything. I'm pointing it at my face. It's not saying anything.
It can see right through you.
And I don't remember if it has good lighting, if it detects my face or not. I really don't remember. Let's see. Pointing it at some trees and cars. And
It's not really doing much, is it? Well, that doesn't sound like it anyway. Yeah.
no, it's not doing a thing. And I'm right up near an object, so you would think
Yeah.
if it was going to do anything, it should.
Channel. Adjustable.
Let's change the channel, and then I'm right up against the tree. So if it couldn't see the tree,
Preview.
then there's a problem.
Table.
I'm pointing it right at the tree, and it keeps saying table.
Maybe it sees the wood, and it's like, that's the only wood thing I know.
Well, that's possible too, yeah.
Place
So let's place a table.
Detected a table. 11 feet. Pick your
All right, so let's go to the table.
Button. Menu. Button. Proximities. Quick help. Button.
Oh, I need to turn the proximity sensor on. This is why I wasn't doing anything.
Proximity
Sorry, guys.
sensor.
Okay.
Proximity
Well, that's
sensor.
probably going to make a difference.
I was going to say, I was
you
like,
guys
this is
can't-
very early.
You guys can't hear it say anything, but it does vibrate.
Car.
Yeah, but you'll
So
be able to
there's
at
a car.
least feel it. Yeah.
Yep.
That sounds a bit better now.
Place beacon. Spatial summary.
All right.
Spatial
Let's
summary.
spatial summary. And that will identify in stereo what direction the objects are in.
Place beacon. Button.
So now I'm walking around. I'm pointing it at myself, and it literally just said table. So I think it's fixated with tables.
It likes tables, clearly.
All
Are you
right.
made out of wood, Nim? Didn't know
Yes, it's possible.
that. Oh, very good.
But as I walk around, as I get close to objects, it will vibrate. So that's, I suppose, a start.
Let's start.
Yeah.
And it may detect objects a little better during the daytime, but I still never find the object detection to be great. So, for whatever that's worth. Okay. So let's compare the two, and then maybe we'll do the listener email, and we'll end the podcast. It's
Cool.
getting a little long. So
Weather. Widget.
Marco asked me an interesting question earlier. How is it when compared to the voice?
Well,
Now,
that's the
the
only
voice-
thing I can compare it to, so that's what I'm wondering,
Yeah,
because
there's not.
a lot of people are going on about the LiDAR, so this will be interesting.
Yeah, so the voice's job is to approximate vision. And what I mean by that is it turns what the camera sees into soundscapes. All these two apps do is they're really good at telling you the approximation, the proximity of you to objects, and they will try to tell you what objects they think are around you. Now, if we can have the voice combined with these two apps, that would be great. But these are very different apps. The voice will actually give you an idea of what something looks like. The voice will give you an idea of a crosswalk lines, for instance, or it'll give you an idea of how far you are away from something, or like a building, or help you follow a sidewalk or footpath, things like that. These two apps, all they're really good at is they may help you find objects in a new space that you're in if you trust them to do object detection. And when you're walking around, they will detect objects and obstacles and sort of how far away you are from them, from those things. And one thing I do like is the mask feature where they will detect people, especially that Super Sense Super LiDAR app will detect people, and it will tell you if that person is wearing a mask, and it's very reliable.
That's
If it
cool.
just my hand, it says person. If it can see my face, it will actually tell you if I'm wearing a mask.
That is really quite handy. Yeah.
So in terms of like social distancing, that kind of thing, it actually is
that's
really
useful.
good.
Yeah.
I can see this in a line situation where you're standing in a line and your job is to follow the person in front of you. I can see it in that kind of situation because you can have your phone, you're pointing it out, moving forward. You can tell when the person moves forward because it'll hopefully vibrate less or the tones will increase in pitch. And then that'll
That's
tell
the
you.
thing
that you
also,
need
it's
to
not
move.
going to look out of place. Like you've got the phone there. Most people have
Yeah.
got their phone out anyway. That's normal sort of stuff. That's cool. Yeah.
People
So
would
things
probably
like
prefer
that-
to a cane on their foot.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, so things like that, I can easily see that as like, this works well.
Yeah.
You can do that with the voice, and with the voice you can actually tell what objects tend to look like. So very different kinds of apps, but if they can combine both of those two things,
That would be cool.
it would be pretty cool. Now the Super Sense app seems to have less options. It's very bare bones, but its features I think are more valuable and more helpful. The problem with seeing AI is it will tell you what objects are and it'll give you a spatial summary so that when you point your camera around and you hit that spatial summary button, it will tell you in stereo where something is, if it's to your right or to your left. So it might help
I really
if you
like
get this.
that, and that's why I was asking about whether this app was in stereo as well, because I think that's important.
Well,
That's
it's
cool.
important, except it doesn't. So here's the thing: it doesn't help you navigate to that object. It'll give you that spatial summary. Oh, that object's to your right or to your left. But wouldn't you already know that when you point your camera where that object is, in what direction you're pointing your camera? I mean, unless someone picked you up and spun you in a circle and you lost your orientation, wouldn't you know? Oh, I pointed it straight ahead, and
Or you had like
there's
three
the
too many
object.
beers.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Yes.
I think when I think of this app, I don't really find the value personally, and the whole beacon thing. For it to continually play the same exact sound, that's not helpful. If it played a higher pitch sound or a lower
That's
pitch
why I was
sound as I
wondering
move
earlier if it had
closer or
different
farther
pitches.
away,
Yeah, that'd be
like
useful.
that may be more helpful. But there again, if you point your phone straight ahead and it says chair, why do you really need? I mean, what do you? I mean, I don't know.
Some people might get something out of it, I guess, if you haven't got great spatial awareness, or if you do struggle around environments like that. I guess it's nice to know. But again, see, this is the problem, Nim, with these apps. They're generally accurate, but not hugely reliable. That's the problem.
Well, these
So-
apps are accurate in terms of approximating distance, and that's the thing. It's
Approximating
accurate in
distance,
doing
sure,
that.
that's fine. Yeah.
The other problem I see with this, so the one situation I could see it may be valuable is you walk into an unfamiliar place, a conference, something like a bar. I don't know.
Yeah. Or a conference
But-
room, or if you're going to one of the NFB
Sure.
conventions or
Right,
something, or
right.
whatever. Something new.
Now here's
Yeah.
the problem with it. Once you get a space that's really cluttered, I think these apps start to lose their value because there are a lot of objects and there's a lot of things that are nearby, right? So it's not like you're
Sure.
across an empty room trying to find something. There's a lot of things there that's just a really cluttered environment.
Yeah.
I've got to say now, I've done this in a bar before with the voice now, even though it obviously doesn't tell you what the chairs are, but you can assume that they're chairs by their size, and you can... The noise that it makes as it goes across the chairs is like a ticka, like a noise, you know what I mean? So this app, the LiDAR app, obviously will say chair, but let's say you've got, I don't know, 100 chairs. It's obviously not going to pinpoint the right one, is it? Essentially.
No.
So that's... See, I don't know.
And
to
it would
me,
be really
in an
difficult
environment
to
like that,
set a
it's
beacon
useless.
on the right one. Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
very difficult to set a beacon. You
Yeah.
can set beacons on a specific chair, like on a chair,
Sure,
but it's
whether
very
the
hard for
right
you
one.
to know which chair
Yeah.
that you're actually setting a beacon on. So that
I mean,
you
essentially,
can
the
actually
only
get
way
to
you're
it.
going to know that is if you've got some vision and you literally point it at exactly the right spot.
That's right.
And, well, that kind of defeats the purpose for a totally blind person. So it's...
That's right.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think these apps, like, hey, they're a good start.
Mm.
They're good for what they started out to be. But I did, we had a conversation with Shane from Super LiDAR, and in the Super Sense, he seemed to be interested in adding some additional features, and I hope they do, because in its current state, I can't see myself using the app, and I can't justify someone buy an iPhone just for these two apps.
No, well, you're paying $2,000 for a phone, or in Australia anyway. That's a lot of money for that.
Like, you still need a cane. If I'm walking around, these two apps will not detect cracks in the sidewalk.
Well, that's interesting that you say that, Nim, because I did actually ask Shane that question. He was very upfront in the interview and said, no, there is absolutely no way I would use this app without a cane. It's not a cane replacement.
No.
Definitely
it will
not.
detect, an obstacle or something, and but it's not going to detect things on the ground unless you have your camera actually pointed at the ground, and even then, it's no good.
It's no good, not reliable. Yeah.
No.
Interesting. Okay. Well, it's kind of what I thought was going to happen in the sense of what you said. Obviously, the hype of all these things, and we were talking over the weekend, actually, Nimra and I, about companies hyping things up, and it's their right to do that because they want to sell product. But I think that's what's good about our podcast, Nim. We give real world experience, and that's what you're doing right now. So, you can only
this
say
is
how
my
it is.
experience, and maybe some people will feel different about it. Now, I view it from both my experience and looking at it from a trainer perspective, having been a tech trainer and working with lots of other blind people. I can't imagine how these would truly be helpful. There's another problem that I didn't mention, and that is with either one of these apps, you have to essentially have the phone open, held in your hand, and unlocked.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to have the camera steady enough or pointed in the right direction or
Well, that's
whatever.
exactly what we mentioned in the interview as well. So essentially, if you've got a dog or a cane, you've literally got no hands free, and that's a big problem for me.
Can you mount it on like a GoPro?
No, we were talking about getting it mounted onto a shirt or something, but it's not a current. Well, obviously,
you may be able to mount it on something using a mount, but then you have to make sure that mount isn't touching or interfering with the screen.
It can't touch a shirt. Like you've got the screen facing yourself. Kurt.
Oh yeah. I
so
see
as
what
soon
you're
as
saying.
it touches your shirt, it's going to start activating stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
The other thing is with at least the Super LiDAR app, and I think it's a bug, but right now it does not keep the screen unlocked. So, for instance, I have my screen shut off time to be 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, it locks the screen, and I have to unlock the screen and start over.
That's a big
Or I have to keep touching the screen to keep it unlocked.
Okay. So if it locks the screen, obviously, if you unlock it, it resumes going. You don't have to close the app and physically start again, do you? Obviously.
Yeah, no. But the fact is, I have to unlock the screen. I have to stop
what I'm doing. But it's still a similar issue that we're having with the GPS and stuff not working. As soon as the screen locks for that app, it just dies, obviously, because it's not. Yeah, it can't do anything. So.
Yeah, and that's a problem. That's not good.
Yeah, no, that needs to be sorted. Well, it literally needs to have an option where it forces screen awake at all time, whilst
and
the
I
app's in
think
motion.
Seeing AI does. I have not had that app lock, and I mean apps can do that, but I don't believe that Super LiDAR is doing that.
Oh, I'm sure they'll add that in. But if anyone is listening from, or who works in conjunction with Super LiDAR and is listening, that's definitely something that needs to be sorted. Absolutely,
that's right.
That's annoying. Yeah. All right, Nim, well, that's cool. Thank you very much, my friend. But I think what we're generally saying is, look, there's definitely some downsides to the app. Yeah. We've also got to remember, though, that it is a relatively new app.
Early days.
Early days.
It's a whole new frontier. It'll be interesting to see when LiDAR when it does take off more, what will be done with these apps. This is a new frontier. And I think it'll be quite exciting if the voice figures out ways to leverage that, but there's not even an iOS app at this point, so who knows?
Well, it'll be interesting to see if the voice actually moves forward on either side, to be honest. Who knows?
Have they not updated in a while?
I know the voice on Android gets updates. The voice on iOS is not it's not an app, it's a web version, so you have to use the web app.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which is fine, it works fine, but it's still a web app.
Yeah. But it still means you've got to open
Yeah, but then
something
you've
up
got to
more.
use
and-
Safari or something.
Yeah.
And...
Yeah, so I've set
More
up a
funny, yeah.
icon on my home screen, and
just
it
a
actually
widget?
will. Yeah, just an icon that will just open up the website. So I mean, it's
Yeah.
sort of like having an app
Oh,
anyway.
look, it's
but-
doable. Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. All right.
All right.
Well, thank
So
you
I don't
very
know
much,
if there are
Nim.
any comments. If you want to go through the comments and then read that listener email, that would be good.
Having a look here down the very bottom. Let's see.
I'm out on a walk, so I did actually take Lola with 2 phones in my hand. Wasn't that good?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Probably not a great
Harshit
idea.
is asked about 5-10 minutes ago. Can it find a cane?
Well, here's what I think about cane finding. If you can get one of those tile trackers or one of those Samsung
yeah.
smart trackers, or those smart tags, you can attach those to a cane, and those actually would make really good cane finders
quite
or
useful.
luggage finders or whatever.
Yeah.
Attach it to Lola.
Have
Yeah.
you guys used
Actually-
the tags yet?
Actually, Samsung does actually advertise
Samsung's
it. You
got
can
some
use
good
it on a
tiles.
pet.
Those little tiles
So-
and things, they're quite useful. Well, the Samsung ones aren't bad. They're okay.
Do they actually make a noise? It doesn't just pop
They do.
up on them.
Oh, yeah, they make a noise.
They make a noise.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
And
playing
they're
with
cool.
my Buds
You know-
Pro and it chirped pretty loud.
The amount
Yeah.
of times that I get questions from blind people, and I don't understand this. I'm sorry. This really gets my goat. This whole cane bizzo. Like, if you're blind, I've never done this. Even when I was a kid, if I had a cane or have a cane, I generally don't misplace it. Generally, I don't think I can't remember the last. I mean, it goes in the corner,
I did
which
it
is
as a
where
kid
it's
a
always
lot.
there. No, I never did because I used to find it annoying if somebody else misplaced it. I've lost my cane again. I'll be like, oh well, bad luck.
The worst was at the blind conventions when someone else takes your cane and thinks it's theirs and walks off.
See, when I first came to the United States, I didn't know what canes were, and he tried to hand me the thing, and I'd always throw them out the bus windows. And, like, I hated canes. I grew up just walking around without one. I absolutely hated canes, and so I intentionally lost mine. But
Oh, cool.
you know,
So you didn't want a tracker on it?
no, I did not.
But yeah,
I
look,
think-
I'm sure you could find it. I mean, you can certainly do that with the voice. I mean, if you know what it's supposed to sound like, you could certainly find it.
Yeah.
And if you knew kind of where it was,
You can easily find them with the voice, especially if
Yeah.
it's a white cane on a dark or a red cane
Oh,
on a darker
absolutely.
background. But
Yeah.
you can easily find a cane with the voice
With
very
lidar,
easily.
I don't know if it'd be so easy because I mean, obviously, it's gonna
LiDAR, you
have to
can't
be.
find it.
No, I reckon that'd be pretty hard. I don't think you'd be
The
able
reason
to.
you
might
can't
think
find
it's
it
a
is if
cable.
you're pointing. Well, no, the reason that you can't find it is if you're pointing your phone. So here's the thing: if your cane was just standing up on its own without anything to hold it up in the middle of the room, lidar could probably find it.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But if your cane is on the floor and you have your camera pointed at the floor, it's not as if lidar is going to distinguish a tiny object from the floor. Like you're pointing it at the floor, so it's already playing that low sound as if you're coming near an
as
object.
You're coming near it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole floor is an object. So it's
So
not
it doesn't
really
do
distinguishing one
essentially
object
what
from
the-
another object.
It doesn't essentially do what the voice is. If it comes up on an object, for listeners that don't know, you can actually hear it, like it makes a duk 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 like noise or something, like whatever is significant for that object. You can tell that you're coming up to something, whereas you obviously can't. Well, if you're pointing at the floor with lidar, it's just making that tone because you're
Yeah,
really
it's just
close.
making a tone
Yeah.
and or vibrating depending on the app. It's not actually.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if the apps themselves recognize canes. I've never heard it recognize a cane.
I don't know about that.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
they don't recognize a cane. So maybe if it did, you could set a beacon on the cane.
Yeah, I suppose.
But I've never heard it do that. So I
Well,
don't
actually,
think
that'd be
that
an
seems
interesting
that,
test. I wonder if you put a cane in the corner, pointed it right. Well, if you put the cane standing up, I don't know, on its own in the middle
Well,
of
I've
the
done
room
it
or
in
something.
daylight, and I have 3 canes actually standing by my door outside, and I've never heard it detect any cane.
Ah, okay. Well,
So
then
I don't think that they know canes, but it might be something worth talking to whoever, saying, hey, add canes to your list of objects. I don't know.
maybe. Yeah,
But
if
with
you
as
lose
small
your
as
cane
they
a lot,
are,
I
it might
guess.
be hard to it might be
Yeah.
hard to identify. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, well, there we go. All right, let's go quickly through to listener emails, Nim. That was basically the only comment from that for the time being. And we had a email from Beth.
Hi, Beth.
Hello,
Beth. Hi, guys. Just started listening today. Well, today was probably today because we literally got it today. So there you go. Found you in the January 2021 Top Tech Bits.
Oh, yes.
Now,
Top
Very
Tech
nice.
Bits.
If
Yes.
we don't get in next week's newsletter after I just gave it the Top Tech Bits, I'll be very disappointed.
Good.
It's
Newsletter.
actually Top
Newsletter.
Tech Tidbits, there, Marco.
Oh, well, that's
You have
what
to
she
have
said
Fine,
anyway. She
yeah.
said Top Tech Bits. I like that better. Very good.
Okay, all right. Well, we have to add the tid part.
Yeah. Love the show. Just curious. What is that sound I hear, which she's hearing right now, during the podcast?
What?
Seems to be when you read something. Sounds like almost like the old, what's this, tally machine? I think she
Beth,
means
what-
like a typewriter or
typewriter.
something. Well, what it is
Beth,
is
what you're hearing
it's a
is my
very nice,
sexy
cool
voice.
mechanical. Oh yeah. Nimra's very mechanical. He's got like clicky
Yes.
clicks
Yes,
when he
it's
talks.
my sexy voice. That's what it sounds like.
Now, Nimra and I have both got mechanical keyboards, so sometimes, and Harshad really likes it when we've got these on. Yeah, sometimes you'll actually hear it in the background, and that's all it is. It's a mechanical keyboard.
Yeah, it's like a regular keyboard, but it has mechanical switches.
See, look.
Actually, these are buckling springs.
You like?
Yeah, these are buckling spring switches, and the ones we use are from a company called Unicomp, and they bought out the old IBM Model M keyboards. They're making those now. So they're kind
Well,
of
she
old
thinks it
style
sounds almost
keyboards.
like the old teletype machine, and I can't actually remember what a teletype machine is, let alone I actually don't know what they are, but yeah, very good.
There you go.
Like,
Anyway,
Beth, I
she
definitely
says,
thank you
keep
for
up
your
the great
email.
work, and thank you very much for that, Bev. We will definitely keep up the good work, and Nimra's been working hard today, so he's a good boy.
Yes, thank you. I've been working hard recovering with my headache. I'll just say
Yeah,
that.
I heard you had a bit of a rough morning, my friend.
Oh, yes.
How is that head at the moment?
It's, a wee bit better, so.
you take
It's
some
still
aspirin
on.
there, and
It's still on. Yeah, I thought
still
about
on.
detaching it, believe me.
But Bev, no, thank you so much for your email. Glad that you found us, and welcome to. I'm just seeing in the subject
Yeah, we're
line. I
glad
think
to
she
have
actually,
you.
I think she actually said where she was from. Let's see. No, she didn't. I thought she did, but I know that she's in the US somewhere. So welcome to the podcast, Bev, and share the love. Let people know about it. That'd be great.
Yes, thank you so much for listening, and thank you to the rest of the audience for listening. Please, thank you for putting up with my echo. And
You're actually not echoing now. You sound clean again. It's
Oh.
very
very
strange.
good.
I don't know
yeah,
what's
it
going
comes,
on.
it comes in and out.
It comes and goes, but yeah,
I
that's
heard
cool.
the word echo though a little.
oh, very good.
Very good.
Well, I do want to thank you guys for joining us, and if you appreciate this content, please consider donating. We definitely appreciate that, so we can get more devices and more things to test and more apps and all that kind of fun thing. And it
More
also costs
giveaways.
us more giveaways. It also costs us about $60 a month to keep this content going. So, we definitely appreciate any donations that we receive. If you like this content, please feel free to like it and share it. Put it up on Tweet, and Snack Chat it. We hope that you have finished your popcorn by now, and we definitely want to thank you guys for listening. And I will see you guys next week. And I want to thank Marco and Kurt for being here too. So thank you guys. Uh-oh.
Yeah, thanks
Did
for
Marco
having us.
disappear?
Thanks for having us, Marco.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. I think maybe
Okay,
Marco
I think I
disappeared.
just cut out.
There
guys,
we
but
go.
I don't know what happened there, but Nimra, thank you so much, my friend. Listeners, we will see you next week. And Kurt, bon
Yeah.
voyage, my friend.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.